Another day, another never dwindling physical TBR. So today I thought I would go through my physical TBR because I've actually never shown you guys what is on it. I'm also in the process of moving, so this is the perfect way to show my books before packing them all away. I have 34 books on my list. 4 of them were lent to me from family members, so 30 of these are my books that I own. And I know for some people that might not be very many. For me, that is a lot because I am a completionist. And so the fact that I own 30 books that I have not read bothers me. Like the fact that my TBR is like always staying at the same amount of books also bothers me. But anyway, I am not one to want to know too much about books before I read them, but I feel like some of these I at least know a little bit to give you like a little snippet. But basically, I just wanted this to be a chill, more of a visual video where you can just see the books themselves and the editions that I have and just keep it short and sweet, like me. To start, I have a few books that are spiritual because I'm a Christian, so they are all around different themes theologically. I don't regularly read theology-esque books, but I tend to be gifted them a lot. So I think most of the theology books I own actually were gifted to me, and only one of these I got for myself, actually. So, the first one was a gift, and that is The Heart of Jesus by Dane Ortland. It's a little smudgy because it's one of those like buttery nice covers, but I really like the pastel, the gold. So this is actually an abbreviated version of her book, Gentle and Lowly, which a lot of people know. And it basically is a rundown of Jesus's character and his main attributes and where we get that from in scripture. So it tends to be a lot more for like people needing to recenter on who Jesus is and or just fresher to scripture and needing that like um, just that direction towards how best to emulate him. So I will definitely read all of these at some point, but I don't know when. Next one is the one I did get for myself, and that is called The Secular Creed, Engaging 5 Contemporary Claims by Rebecca McLaughlin. I actually got this for free. My church was doing a book giveaway, just trying to get rid of stuff they've stockpiled for years. And so this gets into, as you can tell, a lot more of like social politics and how theology relates to all of those different things. And I have a lot of beloved friends who are in all kinds of different communities. I mainly wanted to read this because I have a lot of friends who are very passionate about a lot of social topics and identify in the LGBTQ plus community. So I'm super curious what Rebecca has to say. The next one is Jen Wilkin, None Like Him. And we all received this as table leaders from the women's Bible study that I helped with this past spring. This one is how we have limitations and no one is like God. And as someone who's a perfectionist, that's really important. I've thankfully grown a lot in boundaries over the years, but I know that we can never have enough of those kinds of discussions. So, yeah, I'm hoping this will be similar to Jackie Hill Perry's book Holier Than Thou, and how refreshing it is that God is different from us, because that book was very healing for me last year. So I'm sure this will also be really stabilizing in centering on who God actually is, especially when culture can claim God as all kinds of things and it's usually not rooted in truth. So this would be another very like stabilizing look at God's character. And then the last one I'm also very excited about. My friend bought this for me, and that is The Making of Biblical Womanhood by Beth Ellison Barr. I know this might be a very hot topic for some Christians, but this has a lot to do with patriarchy and how that all actually fits into scripture. So It actually says how the subjugation of women became gospel truth. So I'm really, really, really excited to read this. I have a friend who has a master in divinity and said good things about this as well. So I don't think this is just a social thing. I think there's going to be a lot of theology in here and scripture references, and I'm really excited to dig into this topic for myself because I've always been curious about it and I've never dug into it for myself. So I'm excited to start here. Okay, next we're getting into all of the fiction. Actually don't think there's really any nonfiction here, which is not surprising. So I'm going to start with some of the books that I've already mentioned before on my channel, and then get into the ones I've never mentioned at all that have been sitting on my physical TBR. So the first one is The Tome of My Life I Want to Read that I just mentioned, and that is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. This is a beautiful copy. It is translated by Anthony Briggs. I'm just the most excited to read this. I was really shocked to hear Emma from Emmy on BookTube say that she might not give this 5 stars anymore because the way she talked about it was one of the biggest reasons why I got so excited to read this. So that was a little bit jarring to see this past week. That being said, I don't think she would hate it at this point. She might just rate it lower, just given her reading repertoire at this point in time. Regardless, I'm very, very excited to read this, and this is like the book I'm the most excited to read on my physical TBR. But obviously, because it's the largest book on my TBR period, I'm not going to just willy-nilly pick it up, but I'm waiting for an opportune time. The next couple are the rereads that I purchased for myself. The first one is a beautiful copy of The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and I had to buy this copy. I thought it was so pretty, and I've been meaning to read more F. Scott Fitzgerald in general, but I don't know. I was just thinking I would really, really love to reread this, as I've read way more classics now, and so looking forward to this. Just admire it. Side note, this design reminds me of Rudolph. Does anyone else see that? And then the other reread is 9 Stories by J.D. Salinger. I have my own copy now, which means I own all of his works, which is exactly how I would like it. And I read this after reading a couple of his works, but not all of them. So now that I've read all of them, and there's a lot of ties to the characters in here, I would like to reread this and get a lot more out of it. So, yeah. Whenever I'm in a reading slump, this is going to be what I pick up, because J.D. Salinger just understands my goofiness so well. The next stack are the books from my 2026 TBR that I'm still wanting to read / have on my list. I don't own every single book on my 2026 TBR, and you can watch my previous video to find those, but the one that I was hoping to pick up this month, which may or may not happen at this point in the month, but will still happen whenever I can, is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. So this is my third and final reread on this physical TBR, and an all-time favorite that I have not read in the longest amount of time, so I am curious to reread it. I think I'll still love it, but I think I'm going to get way more out of it than when I was a teenager, so I'm looking forward to that. My July TBR book is going to be Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. I know a lot of people grew up with this. I did not, and I'm honestly looking for something corny, especially after reading something that dense. So this is going to balance it out. And then if all goes well, I also have Pretties and Specials. These were gifted to me by a friend as well. The same one who gave me the Biblical Womanhood book, actually. So it could go one of two ways. It could be really trashy and I hate them, or it could be super amusing because of the time period, or I could genuinely love them. I have no idea. It could go any of those ways. So to be continued. My August book is very, very different, and that is going to be The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. So these are my 3 summer books, all of which are on my physical TBR. This one is a loan from my father, and I really don't know much about this one, but I am eager to read another Toni Morrison. Beloved was not for me, so I'm hoping that I will enjoy this one. And then the last physical book from my TBR this year is for November, and that is an F. Scott Fitzgerald, finally, which I have not read this side of Paradise. And this was actually his first novel that he published, so I'm very intrigued to read it. And now we have 3 whole stacks of other books that are just at random, all of the other books on my list. And yeah, I'm also curious if any of you have read any of these. Please let me know and what you thought of them, and if I should move them up my priority list. So, in no particular order. The first book's probably the biggest tearjerker on this whole list, and that is The Boy in the Striped Pajamas by John Boyne. I actually DNF'd his book, The Heart's Invisible Furies. My sister-in-law wanted to read it with me, and it was way too dark for me. This, I think I will not DNF, so I know I'll probably sob my eyes out, but my history with World War II fiction is I enjoy it even though it guts me. So, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. This has to do with a son and his mother in grief. I've already read his poetry and I thought it was great, but I have a hunch I'm going to love his long form more, so I'm looking forward to this. Okay, this is an author I'm convinced I will love, and yet I've never read a single book by him, and you're probably all going to be shocked, and that is Frederick Bachman. The one I purchased for myself is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. And this has to do with a grandmother and her granddaughter's relationship. And after the grandmother passes, it says she leaves behind a series of letters apologizing to people she has wronged. I love contemporary fiction and I love familial relationship stories, so I think I'm gonna love this. My grandma actually already read it before me, and she thought it was okay, but she thought I would really love it. This one, I'm probably the most unsure if I'm gonna like it, because I purchased it thematically intrigued, not realizing that it supposedly has elements of horror. So I don't know to what extent, but as you could tell from me reading Frances Shaw, I love body image type works. So this is a short story collection, Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado, and I've also not read Carmen Maria Machado yet, and who I've heard only fantastic things about. So this one may be darker than I'm comfortable with. We shall see. I'm definitely the most apprehensive about it, but it is a very beautiful cover. I'm hoping that they won't all have elements of horror, and or with short stories you're bound to love at least one of them. The odds are high compared to like if it was a singular story. So I'm not giving up hope just because it maybe is a little different than I originally thought. Okay, wait, I definitely own 2 Frederick Bachmans. I forgot I was gifted another one, and that is Anxious People. And I don't know anything about this one, but just based on the title, really want to read it. So I'm looking forward to it. My favorite story as a kid was Peter Pan, and so my sister found me a spin-off that I'm very intrigued by, and that is Peter Pan and Scarlet by Geraldine McCaffrian. This is like a very vintage edition. The way my sister presented this book to me is there was like a contest to write a sequel to Peter Pan, and this one won. This is the first ever authorized sequel to Jan Barrie's Peter Pan, supposedly. I'm still a little suspicious about that, but if so, I'm very, very intrigued to see what direction this author took the characters, and I'm looking forward to it, if nothing else, for the sake of my young self. And then this is probably the most popular book that I own that I have not yet read, that the most people on BookTube have read, and that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I have read A Darker Shade of Magic. I actually never continued the series. I know this is very different. It has to do with the devil, and I think there may be time travel, but I could be totally wrong, and you could all be laughing at me because I'm being very incorrect. Again, this is one I really don't want to know much going into it, but I am intrigued. That is the word of the day, is intrigued. I'm going to start going a lot faster because I really don't know too much about most of these. The next one is by one of my favorite authors of an all-time favorite book, and that is Jeanette Walls. This is Half Broke Horses, so this is a loan from my sister, and this is about Jeanette's dad's mother, so her grandmother, and we meet her grandmother in The Glass Castle, which is one of my all-time favorite books. So this is going to be fascinating to see what her background is that made her as disordered and cruel as she was. I'm expecting to be very sad. This one, I'm torn on whether I could like it or not, but a friend had it and gave it to me to try. Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. I do like a saga story, so in and of itself, love that. It's a very pretty copy. But also I heard there's a lot of sad things in it, so would have to read it in the warmer months. Classic coming at you. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. How have I not read this yet? The Night Tiger by Yang Xu. This is another beautiful cover. Another author I have not read yet, Ann Patchett. Bel Canto. I'm very biased because I love music. A little bit of terrorism, a little bit of music, a lot of people trapped in a very uncomfortable situation. What's going to happen? My friends know me very well, so the next one is Ireland, A Celebration in Verse. I should probably wait and read this next March just because I'm very themed that way, but also I do love poetry in the summer, so maybe I'll pick it up this summer. My second sister loaned me this one, Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. I know this is a series as well. This one I'm unsure if it's going to be super dark for me, but I do really want to try at least this book. And one last stack. We have The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. I heard this is adorable and so much fun. Jane Austen, here she is, the last one that I have not read. Lady Susan the Watsons and Sanditon, her little novellas and first stories that she tried her hand at. My favorite poet, this is a beautiful copy. Do We Know Elegies by Rainier Maria Rilke. Love to see it. I have a feeling this one's going to be gorgeous. There by Tommy Orange. This has a lot to do with indigenous communities. Very pretty book. Last loaned book. This is from my father. Hard Times by Charles Dickens, which he did say was a hard time, but I do want to try it because, again, there's occasionally times where the title of a book makes me want to read it because, like anxious people, I like themes of hard times, unfortunately. That is who I am. Another all-time favorite author I'm ready to read another of, and that is S.E. Hinton, who wrote The Outsiders. That was then, this is now. This is also about brothers, and I love sibling stories, so I'm very excited for this. And last but not least, we have Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, which has been on my list for a few years now. And because I already read Babel, I'm super interested to see how that maps onto this, because I heard it might be part of what inspired this. So I'm looking forward to knowing some of that background knowledge that could help me retain more of what's going on and what she's trying to do in this specifically. So that's my physical TBR. Again, let me know your thoughts on any of these if you've read them. If you have any that you would say, please bump up your priority list, let me know. If any feel especially summery to you, let me know, because I'm a very seasonal reader. And yeah, I got lots of packing to do. So as you will see over this month, you'll probably see less and less things in my apartment as I'm filming videos. But I'm looking forward to having this time to decompress in the midst of lots of to-dos. So thank you for joining me back here. I had a crazy spring for a lot of different reasons, internally and externally. And I'm really excited because even though I'm still moving, I feel like I'm actually settling down for the first time in a few months. So I really think I'm going to be able to be consistently creative again and just enjoy all of the joys that I have been made to enjoy and that I enjoy enjoying. So I hope you all are doing well. If not, please continue to be gentle with yourself, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye, friends.